This is why the world needs resellers. In this video, I show you everything that's sold on eBay. I've got some thrift stores to hit, and then as usual, we're taking up to 10% of our profits over to the game store to hopefully add a new game to our N64 collection. But first, my wife found signs for a few garage sales while out running errands, and she scored big. First up is this Panasonic Lumix camera. At the thrift, this would have been left behind, but for only $3, should be able to make a nice little $10 profit. I've been experimenting with sporting equipment, and she grabbed these bats for $3 each. Just wait, because they are good ones. First up is this DeMarini B52 with comps around $200. This one's pretty scratched up, but even if you get half that, it's a huge score. This Worth Reload comps for around $50, and the Miken comps for around $150. For $5, she grabbed this vintage Coach bag with comps between $100 and $200. And finally, for $3, this vintage Mickey Mouse jacket in great condition. And Sunday, we managed to track down a Facebook Marketplace Switch deal. For $125, we got a Switch console with all of the accessories, plus 5 great titles and 2 not-so-great titles. Market value for this haul should be right around $250 to $300. All right, so we officially have a new record. The effort I am putting in is starting to pay off. I was very nervous over the last 2 weeks because sales were not increasing. You know, it's the middle of July, which I know is historically the slowest sales season of the year. At least a lot of people say. I think it's like January and July. You know, it kind of makes sense, like summer vacation, stuff like that. And then Q4 is really when things start to pick up again, September, October, leading into the holiday season. It's colder outside, you know, people are looking for a little more entertainment indoors, so especially a lot of the types of things that I sell, a lot of electronics and video games and that sort of stuff. But we like popped off this weekend. I don't know what the hell happened. It was like super slow for a while, and then all of a sudden sales just started like flying in over the last couple days. So no complaints from me. But we officially broke our record of most sales. I don't know by dollar amount because, you know, I've had some like really big single dollar. I've had a couple of singular items that have sold for a lot of money. So I don't think this is my record in terms of like revenue. But in terms of number of sales, this is definitely my new record. 20 items we've got today to pack up. And since so many sales came in, I actually packed up a couple of these things yesterday, but I will talk to you about them now. And what's interesting, you know, I'm kind of starting to think about this a little bit. You know, my goal is to have this all fit within about 4 to 5 hours a day. So, you know, I'm kind of saying I'm full-time, but I'm not working from 9 to 5 or, you know, 8 to 4 or whatever. I am working from about 9 to 1 every single day. So I drop my kids off at camp. You know, in September it will be school, and then work till about 1 o'clock, have lunch, go pick them up from school or camp. So I'm really trying to have it fit within that, you know, window, and trying to like maximize what I can do within that time frame. Now, here's the thing. If I just kind of go nuts and list, I might not be able to actually do all of the work that's necessary within that time frame. So I don't know what the right number is. I'm curious to see where this ends up. Again, in about a year, 6 months to a year, you know, I would love to be selling 5 to 10 items a day, listing 5 to 10 a day. That would be a nice, like, kind of have it reach equilibrium, sort of. I don't necessarily want it to grow forever, you know, because ultimately, you know, I'm not trying to run some giant business out of a warehouse. That's not really what I want. I want it to be a thing I can do out of my basement, maximize the dollars I get per hour, but still keeping it within that window or that time frame. So curious to see how that plays out. But over the weekend, we sold, you know, if you count Saturday, Sunday, and no sales today yet, but Saturday and Sunday, that was 10 sales a day. So we're looking pretty nice there. And let's jump into these things. We've got 20 of them, so I'm not going to spend too much time on every item, but if there's anything interesting about them, of course, I will tell you. So up first, we sold this pair of J. Crew shorts. I picked up a huge lot of these, $3 a piece. I bought 18 pairs. That was last Saturday. They're almost all listed already, just because they're seasonal. I want to make sure that those are up now before the summer is over. We sold a pair of J. Crew swim trunks. Sold it on an offer for $11 plus shipping. Next up, we've got this PS4 Slim, picked up from a big video game haul a couple months back. Sold it for $115 plus shipping. Picked this up for, I think it was $4 at a garage sale a couple months ago. And I assumed this was going to sell, you know, closer to Halloween. But we did sell this vintage, I believe the brand is called Gemmy. like crystal ball head. I forget what her name is from the Disney ride. And it's like electronic, lights up and talks and stuff. It's pretty cool. But sold it for $75 plus shipping. Next up, sold another pair of shorts from that lot for $22 plus shipping. This one was Patagonia. Sold an iPod Classic. So I don't usually show these pickups just because the buying process is not really all that interesting. It's like online estate sales, but I do pick up quite a bit of stuff from them. We maybe like about once a month, I would say at this rate is how often we're buying stuff from these types of sales. And because it has to, I don't want to just win one item. If you have to drive an hour out of your way to go pick up one item, that's kind of a bummer. But we found a bunch of stuff at this one estate sale that we really wanted and won a couple of items. And so this was the first thing we sold from that haul. It is this, again, Apple iPod Classic. Maybe have about $5 into it and sold it for $50 plus shipping. Sold this New Era hat. It is the, I guess you call it like AAA team. It's the Albuquerque Isotopes. Paid $4 or $5 from a thrift store for this and sold it for $21 plus shipping. Sold a DS for parts. This was funny enough, this is like a personal DS that was just in storage for a really long time. And it had some issues, some like dead pixels and stuff. So sold it for parts, $18 plus shipping. Sold a Timex Sports like clip-on watch for $45 plus shipping. Sold another pair of shorts, another Patagonia for $18 plus shipping. Sold a package of ink. So I haven't gone myself yet, but my wife has gone to the bins now twice. And I guess she's like really curious about it and wants to try it out. I'm a little bit hesitant. It seems like, I hate to say, it's just like kind of gross. I don't know. It's just like, I've heard some like horror stories about it too. She's like, it's not that bad. It's not that competitive or whatever. It just seems like really cutthroat and kind of not like the type of experience I'm looking for. I mean, if you can find good stuff for cheap, it might be worth going. So I'll probably get myself over there at some point, and of course I will show it to you and talk about my experience. But anyway, she found this package of ink at the bins. So, I mean, she paid like $1, probably less, 50 cents, and sold it for $21 and free shipping. This next one I'm very excited about. I debated actually keeping this item. It is a vintage 90s New York Yankees sweatshirt. So it's got some pretty cool features about it. It's like embroidered logo. It's got this like jersey material down on the sleeve. And I could not find this exact one online. So I kind of priced it a little bit aggressively, but I really wasn't sure that it would sell at this price. So I kind of just like took a shot on it, and I got full asking price, $85 plus shipping for this vintage Yankee sweatshirt, which was awesome. Sold this Vitamix blender, picked up for $20 from an estate sale, and sold it for $60 plus shipping. Got this Canon PowerShot for parts. I think we lost a couple bucks on this one. Unfortunately, it didn't work. This is, I think, a thrift store pickup. $7.50 plus shipping. Picked up this Patagonia. It's called a Better Sweater for $5 from a garage sale. Sold it for $35 plus shipping. Got this Mickey Mouse Pirates of the Caribbean playset. I think this was $1 at a garage sale. Sold it for $25 plus shipping. It's from the Disney park, so it's a little bit rare. Don't just pick up any random Disney playset you find. Pick this up from the game store. I think I've mentioned this in videos before, but I like to check through the game store near me has like pre-owned cases, like Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, all kinds of random, cool like Nintendo carrying cases, and they usually, unless they're like really nice ones, they put them in there for $5 each. So I don't think they really sell very many of them, and I guess they're just like happy to get rid of them. Picked up this Guitar Hero 2 case for $5, sold it for $20 with free shipping. Picked up this Dooney and Burke vintage bag for $25 from a garage sale. Sold it for $50 very fast, plus shipping. Got this loose copy of Ratchet and Clank on the PS3, maybe a couple bucks into it. Sold it for $22 plus shipping. Got this Canon IV photo printer. This was, I think, $4 from a garage sale. It was brand new sealed. Sold it for $63 on an offer plus shipping. And then the final item today, I've got this Magnavox VCR DVD combo player. Picked this up for, I think it was 20 bucks from a garage sale. I sold it for 120 plus shipping. So these combo players, if they're newer, like this one has HDMI output. If they're newer with HDMI output, they're very, very desirable. So keep an eye out for those. But yeah, 120 plus shipping. So that is the 20 items that I sold over the last couple days. Let's get the rest of these packed up right now. Now let's go hit the thrift. First thing that caught my eye was this box of manga, but I'm really not very knowledgeable about this kind of stuff. However, it looks like a store donation, not a collection, so my thoughts are these are the ones that they probably couldn't sell, so I won't be able to either. There might be a good one in here somewhere, but I'm just going to leave them behind. And you know I love a good VCR, but I'm being very, very picky on the models I'll pick up. Couldn't find anything quite worth it today. And another of my favorite sections, the sporting helmets. This Cascade is in great condition for only 4 bucks. So picking this one up, and I'm pretty sure I'm one of the only people actually buying these, so I don't pay full price. I'll probably be picking this one up next week at 50% off. And I decided to flip through a rack or two and found a couple of items I'm going to pick up. First is this Tommy Bahama 100% silk shirt in a very large size. Blue tags are 75% off today, so only $6. And should be able to get around $25 plus shipping. And I also found this Robert Graham 75% off, so $7 with resale value around $25 to $30. And last stop today, I hit the jewelry counter and picked up quite the watch haul. Now don't forget, blue tags are 75% off. Okay, so today is Wednesday, and I've got 8 things that I've got to pack up here. But before I do that, I thought I would start a new segment, what I'm calling Wednesday's Weird and Wacky Bolo. So I'm going to show you something that I didn't expect. And the first one, the inaugural Wednesday Wacky Bolo. So I was doing a little bit of research on a Hollister jacket. It looked kind of nice, and thought I would look it up. It wasn't worth anything, so left it behind. But in the process... So we're going to eBay sold. Actually, I'll just show you how to do this real quick. So you go on the eBay app. If you haven't done this before, you go on the eBay app, you run a search, you filter by sold. So you go up to the filters, scroll down, you toggle on sold, and then you can sort by high to low. You know, if you want to get a sense for what some of the higher end things in a market are. There is a huge market apparently for retired, like old, out of print, vintage Hollister perfume. So we've got the Hollister, let's see, the Hollister August perfume with comps for 500 bucks. And it's not a fluke. If you keep going, it just keeps going. Like, I definitely owned one of these at some point. Beach Please for $320. California Pacific Merchants for $300. Beach Please $250. SoCal Perfume $225. 1922 by Hollister, $200. The Rider for $200. And it just like keeps going. You know, it just keeps going. So there's like a huge market for this. Now let's get into these 8 items that I've got today. Oh, excuse me, I actually sold one more thing. Something I listed earlier today. This vintage Lego keychain set. I picked up a bunch of Lego from an estate sale. You know, I think if you listed them individually, you might be able to get like $10 a piece for them, but decided to just lot them together to try and sell them fast, like slower sell-through rate items, and got $15 plus shipping for it. So I will take that. And then next up, we've got this pair of 10,000 shorts. Hadn't heard of it before, but found some new tags shorts at a sale a couple days ago and sold a pair. So I paid $3 each for them. Sold this first pair for $21 plus shipping. Got this, it's from this brand Swank. They are these vintage cufflinks and tie pin set. This was part of an estate sale pickup. I think this came in that jewelry box with all that gold we bought. And so we're already like way into the profit. Literally $1,000 from that one jewelry box. And so no money into this and sold it for $16 plus shipping. Sold this Patagonia, they call it a volley short, for $18 plus shipping. Again, for I have $3 into that. Sold this DVD. Not really picking these up unless they're really good now. I'm very, very picky with media. They're just very slow sellers. I think if you wanted to build a business around media, you obviously have to do volume. So very, very picky with this. You're not going to see me selling very many DVDs, but sold this. It's Ask This Old House DVD set. Paid $2 for this and sold it for $11 with free shipping. So we'll make a couple bucks on that. So over the weekend, you saw me pick up that Facebook Marketplace Switch lot. We're kind of on Facebook Marketplace a little bit. I'm not on there every day, but credit to my wife. If she's like bored at work, she'll flip up Facebook Marketplace, and she's found a couple things, which is great. So she caught this Nintendo Switch lot for $125. You know, I always assume that Facebook Marketplace is like crazy competitive, especially for video game stuff. You know, if something's like fairly local, we've been getting pretty lucky, like getting deals here and there with not putting that much time into like research and stuff on there. But anyway, we got this Switch lot, played a little bit of Just Dance 2021 over the last couple days. I've never played it myself until the other day. It's actually pretty fun. The kids have been enjoying that a little bit. And we sold the first game from that lot. It's New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. Maybe like $10 into this game and sold it for $30 plus shipping. I picked up for $5 from a flea market the other day this Attack of the Clones. It's like Geonosis Battle Arena playset. Huge box. I'm gonna be very picky with this type of stuff going forward, just because, like, you know, I'm starting to try to get as, you know, before the last couple weeks, it didn't really matter to me. Like, you know, I was just happy to pick stuff up that was profitable, and it was so casual, like 10 hours a week or so I was spending on it. And, you know, if you're like, all right, well, a VCR is worth $30-40, like, I'll do it. And you're only selling 1 or 2 items a day. So it's not a big deal to sit there and pack a couple big items. It doesn't take that long. But if you're selling like 10 things a day and they're all giant, it's gonna take you like 2 hours to pack 10 boxes. I'd rather sell, you know, like 10 t-shirts than 10 VCRs, for example. Just because of the amount of time it takes to like pack them and stuff. So I'm very hesitant with this type of thing going forward, but very happy that this sold fast at least. So we have $5 into it and we sold it for $80 plus shipping. So this next item is kind of interesting, very nostalgic for the Y2K kids out there. It's this 2004 Disney Princess. It's like 3 things in one. It's a CD case, it's a music player, and it's a jewelry box. Picked this up for I think about $5 from a garage sale and sold it for $32 plus shipping. And then finally, another garage sale find, we sold this Milton Bradley 1986 board game. It's called Shogun, and I had to pay up for this a little bit at a garage sale. They knew what it was. I think I negotiated them to like $30. You know, board games can be kind of risky because a lot of times they're incomplete. This thing looked like very well taken care of, and it was like packed to the brim with items that looked like very well organized in bags and stuff. So was worth the risk, and it took a little while to sell, but we did end up getting $75 plus shipping for it. Now let me get these packed up, and then later today we are heading off to the thrift store. And one quick thing while I'm thinking about it, it's actually kind of funny. Like after dinner, put the kids in the wagon and walk around town a little bit, and it was recycling night, and I always like peek at the boxes that neighbors put out, because especially like really big boxes, they're actually really expensive, like $3 or $4 for a big box. And my neighbor had put out a bunch of stuff. I guess they bought a bunch of things on Amazon, and so there was a bunch of giant boxes that I picked up, and they exactly fit these 2 giant items. Oh, what a beautiful feeling.
And we're hitting up another thrift store this week. Let's go check it out. When I first walked in, they had a bunch of jerseys sitting in the glass case, and the cashier said, if you like these, we got a ton more back there. And she was not kidding. It was hard to walk away from a lot of this, but I still spent $190 on a ton of awesome vintage sports stuff. Let me show you what I grabbed.
today is Friday. I've got 13 things to pack up, but I did want to share this with you. This is really cool. There's a lot of discourse on the internet about the value of reselling and, you know, the morality of it even. I feel very strongly that reselling is a very positive thing. You know, when it comes to collectibles, like especially video games, people get weird about that kind of stuff. But for a majority of items, like, they're just going to end up in the trash. You know, resellers are literally saving stuff from the trash, getting it back into circulation, and helping people find things that they would not have found otherwise. This stuff would just disappear. It would be lost to time. And one such example, a couple months back, I sold, about a month ago, I sold this set of 6 Howdy Doody plastic toys. So I was at an estate sale, bought a bunch of Howdy Doody stuff. Let's just say that stuff doesn't sell. What happens? It gets thrown in the trash. It's gone forever. So we saved this item from the trash. We ended up listing it. It sold. And about 2 weeks after it sold, I got this letter in the mail. And I thought I would share this with you because it's very sweet. And here, let me sit down. And I thought this would be fun to share with you because, you know, this stuff matters to people, you know, like collectibles and things. Obviously you're selling clothes and, you know, some people have an emotional attachment to their clothing, but especially these collectibles, like, it really does mean a lot to people. And I think that's ultimately the job of what a collectible seller is doing, is like giving people the opportunity to relive their childhood and get those experiences back and experience the joy of nostalgia and all that stuff. Share with their kids the things they grew up with. So I'm gonna read you this note we got. Your Howdy Doody figures arrived in perfect condition. I'm thrilled with them. They're in wonderful condition. I had all the characters when I was little. I had an illness between 5 and 8 years. My mother was always looking for little items for me to play with in bed. Wholesome Bread Company had bread men that delivered door to door, and these were a special on top of a cake. She bought everyone, and my brother and sister were happy for the cake. Over the years of many moves, they got depleted, so I was thrilled to see yours on eBay. They are in beautiful condition and will go in a tabletop glass case with other small childhood objects. I always think of my mother trying to keep me happy. It is hard to make my grandchildren understand how it was with a 7-inch TV that didn't come on until 4 in the afternoon, and there were no electronic toys. Thank you for providing something that will always bring me joy to look at. Nancy. So there you go. I wanted to share that with you. I thought that was really sweet. And, you know, it's nice to get that affirmation. You know, it's not just about the money. You know, of course, that's like the main motivation. But you have to understand that, like, you're connecting people with things that matter to them. And that's, I think, one of the big joys of doing this. So I thought you would enjoy that. And we also have 13 things we've got to pack today. So let's jump into that. And the first item is this vintage expansion sweetheart bracelet. Unfortunately, one of the links was broken, but we still did sell that for $30 plus shipping. Up next, we got this lot of 5 Nintendo handhelds. Had to sell them for parts, unfortunately. And next up, we've got this vintage Lego castle set. It's like really small, little package. We won a bunch of Lego stuff recently at an estate sale, and this was just kind of like in there. You know, the way they do it is it's online, you bid, and then you go and pick it up in person, but they're usually lots. It's like a bunch of items together. And sometimes it's kind of hard to see, so it's a little bit of gambling. You know, you're not buying onesie-twosie like in person. This was in there, and it was brand new sealed, and sold it for very, very fast, almost immediately, for $50 plus shipping. I picked this up from a garage sale. Is this Shure PGX1 wireless transmitter, so I think it's a way to like hook up your guitar and transmit it wirelessly to your amp. The guy I bought it from, so I paid $10 for it from a garage sale. The guy I bought it from said that Geezer from Black Sabbath used it, was his buddy. I'm like, I don't think so. Like, I looked it up and I'm pretty sure that guy lives in Los Angeles, so who the hell knows, but I put it in the description because I thought it was funny. The guy I bought it from said this was from Geezer from the Black Sabbath. Who knows? Anyway, sold that for $100 plus shipping, so that was a nice one. I sold another one of those GameStop fabric posters, so I picked up a big lot of these on Facebook Marketplace like months ago, and I think I only have one left after this. It's the Avatar one. Not surprised, that was the worst one of the bunch. But we sold this one, it's System Shock, for $23 plus shipping. I sold this vintage Looney Tunes hat I paid, I think it was like 15, 20 bucks for a lot of hats at that same estate sale. So got a couple of vintage hats. I bought it for this really cool vintage Porsche hat. I'll show you. That was the item that I kind of identified like, ooh, I think I want that. And it had a couple other hats in there. And we sold this 1996 Looney Tunes hat for $21 plus shipping. Next up, we sold a copy of Mario Kart 8, another item from that Facebook Marketplace Switch pickup. We've got a Nintendo 2DS. This one picked up from a thrift store for 40 bucks like months ago, but decided not to list it because I thought maybe my daughter would be interested in it, and she had absolutely no interest in the DS, so we sold that. And we got 100 bucks plus shipping. Sold this 2-pack of Pelican controllers for the original Xbox. I paid 20 bucks for this from a thrift store. I thought it was going to be worth a lot more, and it just kind of like sat around. I thought maybe it had some like collector's value, but unfortunately not. It really wasn't getting much attention. I dropped the price a ton and sold it for $45 plus shipping pretty quickly. I picked up this Mattel football handheld game for $5 from a garage sale. It was from the early 2000s. It was like a remake of one of the games that they had come out with in the 80s, I believe, 70s or 80s. And sold that for 30 bucks plus shipping. So we sold this plasma globe. It's from 1987 for $55 plus shipping. I think this was $5 at a garage sale. Sold a pair of shoes. I think we have like $2 into these. This was an item we bought a long time ago. Definitely have to be very, very picky with shoes. They are very slow sellers. And sold that for $15 plus shipping. And then we sold another Howdy Doody item today. We sold this inflatable inner tube. So it's vintage for $23 plus shipping. And that is everything we've got today. Let's get these packed up. And then stay tuned because I'll show you that rare game we're adding to the collection.
And with that, we managed to generate $850 in profit after eBay fees and income tax, giving us $95 to spend on N64 games. But I'm going into the negative today because for $125, I finally found a copy of Conker's Bad Fur Day in the wild, putting us at 85 out of our top 100 N64 games. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.
A bad fur day.